Welcome to New Hampshire Politics with John Burt. I'm John Burt. I want to thank you for joining me today, and today we have a great guest from Manchester, and it's Joe Kelly Levasseur.
How you doing? Nice to see you.
Yes, nice seeing you.
Wow. Hello, Goffstown, right?
Yeah, it's Goffstown.
It's all Goffstown, not Ware and all these other towns, huh?
No, but I'm going to be, I upload it to, so all the community access TV stations can air it.
Nice.
Yeah, so hopefully they'll download it.
The last time you and I were together was, I think, 2010 when I had a debate with Lou D'Alessandro. Went very well. A lot of people were very happy with the debate. We both got along well and debated the issues really well. It was great.
Yeah, it was a great
And you
show.
did a good job, too.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you.
But you're running for, you're a candidate for Executive Council in District 4.
That's
and
correct.
That is a big district. And if you don't mind, I'll read off the towns real quick. Where would people get a hold of you if they want to, say, they want to talk to you or send you an email, or how would they get a hold of you?
Me, I'm probably the easiest guy to find in the world. I own Theo's restaurant, and I'm there every day. So it's easy to walk in the door and say hi and talk. I love to talk politics and issues with my constituents. A lot of people from Goffstown have come into the restaurant and sat down with many families, people who like to come in and discuss issues. I'm easy to find. My phone number is very easy to remember, 622-7575. 622-7575 is my office number. I always return calls. I have a website, joekelly2016.com, if you want to go take a look there. As you know, Joe Kelly Levasseur, one word, or the Facebook word. You can join me on Facebook. We can discuss things there, and then you can ask questions there. Or you can always email me at jrwaa, the number 2, yes, at AOL.com. I'm sorry, I still have AOL. I'm an old guy. jrwaa2 at AOL.com. Easy to call me that way. Send me an email. I love to talk to people. Yeah. Call me up, invite me to the house. We can sit down and talk. There's many people in Goffstown that I've had a lot of good sit-downs with, and I enjoy discussing anything they want to talk about.
Well, and in 2010, you were so close to D'Alessandro, which is hard to even get close to him. But Goffstown, you beat him.
2 times. I was the guy, I'm always the guy that the Republican State Committee calls and says, listen, we can't find anybody in the world to run for a certain position. Are you willing to run? So twice I ran against D'Alessandro, and I got 47%, and I won both times in Goffstown. Thank you to the great voters of Goffstown.
Yeah, they're good voters.
But you come out of Manchester in one particular ward, the downtown ward. In a presidential election, you come out 1,000 votes down. So you're already lost by 1,000 votes before you've got to wards 4, wards 10, and wards 11. Yeah. So in his own ward 10, he would beat me by like 550 votes. So you're coming out of Manchester down about 3,000 votes, and then you go into Goffstown, and I was fortunate enough to win both times by 2,500. So I got 47-47. Then in that great race of 2010, when the Republicans literally took every seat in the state, I lost by 138 votes, and it was, again, Goffstown that pulled me up.
Yes.
And Goffstown is a very conservative town. A lot of Manchester transplants come here, and I worked really hard in this district because I just love coming out here. I love the roads coming out here. Yep. I love the town. I like the energy of this town. I come out for the duck race. When you have the Halloween thing.
Oh, the pumpkin regatta.
Right, the regatta. We had an office right there one time, which was phenomenal.
It was.
We had Halloween, and I was giving out candy. I just had a brand new, my baby boy John was 1 at the time, and he was dressed like Elvis. I know a lot of people probably remember that, and it was really a fun time. And now I'm your register of probate, believe it or not.
Oh,
I never had to come out and actually campaign for that seat because the job doesn't exist. They used to pay $84,000 to start. Bobby Revard had that job, and then when I won it, they said, "Well, we can't give him $84,000," so they give me $100 a year. But they took
that's like a state rep.
But you actually have power and authority as a state rep. You get to vote on things. Yes. I got a letter saying I was not allowed in the court. I could go to the courthouse, but I couldn't go in the back room where the offices were. I had no name tag, no parking space, no salary, no authority. I think there were 9 things they said I couldn't do. But because I'm an attorney, I can't represent you in probate court because I'm the register of probate, go figure. And it's $100, but in order for you to get your $100 salary, they sent me paperwork this high. They wanted my bank account numbers, my social security numbers, all this stuff for $100. So I've thrown that in the garbage each time and said I don't need the $100. So I did file a lawsuit, by the way, to try to get that position, it's powerful constitutional position back. I brought it to the Supreme Court as what is known as a writ of prohibition, and they threw it out and said, no, you got to start at the Superior Court. So now Donna Sitek is running to get it taken out of the Constitution. What people don't realize is having an elected official in those kind of positions is good, because first of all, there's oversight, and there's also an opportunity as me as an elected official to go to you, John, we really do need more money. Or John, we really are over bloated. We have a way to, we can talk to the politicians, because we're politicians who know the politicians, and they stripped it out, and I think they made a mistake, and they'll try to get it on the ballot to kill it, but there's 75% of the people of this state are not going to take that position out. I don't think 75% of the people could agree on the same color for a toter to pick up garbage. So I don't think they're going to say, yeah, we're going to just rip this out of the Constitution. What's good about it, though, is they're going to bring it all to light, because now they're going to have to talk about it if she gets elected and they try to take it out. But you know what? Your sheriffs are elected.
Yes.
Your register of deeds is elected.
Town clerks.
Your county attorneys are elected. Those are your county positions. Are they going to strip those next? And that's the question of the day. And that's why I'm running for executive council. The power of government is so overwhelming that us people, us regular guys, who are just regular people who live in homes and have kids and pay our mortgage, really our voices and our strength and our power is just being diminished all the time.
It is.
And you know, I've been very involved in politics. I'm an alderman at large for the city of Manchester. No one expected me to win that race, and I ran. After I almost beat D'Alessandro, my street cred went way up. So I ran for alderman at large the next time, because no one, again, would run against the two power Democrats in the city. So I teamed up with Will Infantine, and we ran, and I topped the ticket that year. And I've won, this isn't alderman of one ward, this is alderman of all 12 wards. And I've been fortunate enough to win 3 times.
Oh, so you're alderman at large.
Correct. I'm alderman at large, which gives me an advantage, I think, in the executive council race, because obviously I'm running against a guy who has unlimited money, unlimited support from the Democratic Party. And if you're going to beat him, you're going to need to come out of Manchester. Wazorek was the executive councilor for 5 terms.
Yes.
He'd lose Manchester every time. But he'd lose by 2,000 votes, but he'd win by 10,000, because the district itself is more Republican. So you got Goffstown, Bedford, Londonderry, and all these other towns. So if I can come out of Manchester with a smaller I'm not going to lose by only 2,000. I'm hoping to keep it under 5,000, and then the towns do their jobs. I could beat this guy, and then you could have a really good, strong voice up in Concord.
Yeah.
And you know how important that job is.
Yeah, executive council, a lot of people don't even know that it exists.
I know.
And it is a really important job.
Well, I go to these events, and they're always, how they let you speak at these big events around the state.
Yes.
And they go, well, we're going to let the governor speak, and then we're going to let the congressmen speak, and the senators, and then they go state reps. And I'm like, hey, the executive council?
Yeah.
They just don't even know they exist. There's only 5 of them in the state, but they're the check and balance on the governor.
Yeah.
So whoever the governor happens to be, when they make a nomination for a judge, when they make a nomination for a department head, when they make nominations to all these commissions in these very important positions, the check and balance on that is the executive council, and then of course contracts are extremely
Well, then
important.
anything over $5,000, they have to run it by the executive council.
Right, anything over 5,000. So who's getting what? Who's getting the contracts? Who knows who? We know how the government works. We've seen it with Hillary Clinton. We've seen how the pay-for-play works.
Yeah.
And I very rarely, I'm not a big money-raising kind of guy. I guess I never came from a political family. So, when I raise money, it's $25 here, $50 here. I usually I self-fund my own campaigns mostly, and I don't owe anybody anything. When I get elected, I'm your guy. I vote what's right, time after time after time, and that's, I'm just a regular guy. Like you're a businessman. I'm a businessman. I didn't get into politics to become the governor of the state. I didn't run to be a congressman. I've been involved in 16 years. I just care about the fact that government costs ridiculous amount of money. There was a vote on a police contract in Manchester. It is going to blow a hole in our budget in Manchester, and I voted against it. I was out of 14, there were 5 that voted against it, and I was one of them. And teacher's contract was extremely expensive, and I voted against it because we're not living within our means. And Manchester has a tax cap of 1%, and I've stayed within that tax cap for 5 straight years as an alderman at large in Manchester.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, I saw that contract, and I mean, it is going to be huge.
What they have
It's like
done,
$3.5 million over 3 years.
yeah, I think it's actually, it's $3.5 million with the numbers, but it's not the reality. There's so much behind that number. They voted to give the 20-year guys a $10,000 bonus when they quit. Now they're already at the high end of the salary spectrum anyway. If you've been at 20%, 20 years, and you get to work the last 3 years of your career, you really pile on the overtime.
Yes.
And that's included in your pensions. I'm sure many people out there, they either know or they're not sure about that. So if you say you're at a $75,000, $80,000 salary, you have the ability to go out and work 27 hours a week at $50 an hour, which is another $1,200 a week. Wow. So you can add another $60,000 on top of your $80,000 salary. If you do that for 3 years, you're walking out of there at $140. So your pension is going to be based on 140, 140, 140 for those last 3 years. They want to add another $10,000 on top of that, which adds another $3,500 to each of your years. That equates to $250 more per month in your pension, which is why the people up in Concord are saying, we've had enough of you guys in these towns and cities.
Yeah.
You're going to start paying more of your pension.
Yes.
Because you got a $4 billion hole in your pensions in Concord.
Yeah. No, I think it's closer to 5.
And the reason
That's huge.
The reason why is because really people are afraid to say no.
Yeah.
And which is why I respect you a great deal, because you're one of your angle has always been fiscal conservatism. You're not up there wondering in whose bedroom or what's going on behind that. It's fiscal. It's always been fiscal. If the Republicans focused and really spoke and talked about why we're in there, it's about the money. It's about the spending. It's about the never-ending increases in taxes. And it's not getting better. It's not going down. Manchester's been lucky we did get a tax cap, and it has helped us. But now they went off the rail and voted for a contract. I just know it's going to blow a hole in the budget. Yeah.
Now, will that go in front of the voters?
It will. No, we don't get that opportunity.
Not like Goffstown?
You wish that it would.
See, in Goffstown, it goes in front of the voters.
When was the last time you guys voted for raises for teachers or policemen? Do they vote for it every year?
Every 3 years they'll do it, but it has been voted down occasionally.
Right.
The last teachers'
in Litchfield, I think they went 14 years without giving the teachers an increase,
but
because
Manchester
they voted
doesn't
yearly.
do it that way.
No, the aldermen, 14 members of the board. I think there's out of 14, 9 are former actual employees of the city, and I think 11 are have a brother or sister that are actually.
So how are they going to vote?
Are right.
Yeah.
I don't have a brother or sister that's actually a government employee. There's not. I know Hirschman is on the board. He doesn't have a brother or sister, or I don't think a family member. So there's a couple of us that don't have family members on there. But generally, there's a lot of nepotism that goes on in the city, and a lot of those votes are taken that way. And then a lot of people are. You got to give the police credit. They know nationwide they're under the gun, and that there's been a lot of disrespect to police officers. They're getting shot at. There's a lot of crime. Manchester's been inundated with an opiate crisis, where we seem to be the center for a lot of the problems that are affecting the state of New Hampshire, although we're not alone. I know other towns have them.
Yes.
And they came in and said, they're going to get hazardous pay of $40 to $80 a week. Well, I know the guys that ride on the back of those dump trucks to pick up their garbage, our workers' comp on those guys are about $350,000 a year. So there's some hazard there also. And now they gave them a fast day for a holiday. I didn't even know we had a holiday named Fast Day. So the contract was very rich, but they said, you know what? We know that we have a superior bargaining position right now. Everybody wants police officers. Everyone wants to be protected by police officers.
So
and
they're
there's
going to
a
take
lot
advantage of it.
Well, we had a couple officers shot, I think, within the last 6 months. And so they, the pressure is on, and they came in and they said, here's our deal. Take it or leave it, either all of it or none of it. And 9 people voted for it. So Gatsis has an opportunity to veto it in 2 weeks if they don't get that 10th vote to override. So we'll see if the mayor vetoes it. He didn't really say much in the non-public part of it. So I don't. He's very good at holding his cards close to his vest. So I don't know what he's going to do.
Now, will he wait until after the primary, or will the vote be before the primary?
No, the vote will not be before the primary. Our next aldermanic meeting is actually September 20th. It was scheduled for September 6th, but there's a gubernatorial debate, and so we I didn't want to vote to move the debate. I mean, to move the alderman race. The mayor can go debate all he wants. We had 14 capable people. We have a chairman of the board, and that person could have actually ran the meeting, and we could have done all this stuff, but that's not the way it worked out, and so he got a pass, and he's going to be in the debate on WMUR.
Oh, now with you being an alderman, you're the checks and balance for the mayor then?
Correct.
So on day one, as executive counselor, you're ready to go.
I'm ready to go for a lot of reasons. First of all, I'm an attorney. I've been a lawyer for over 15 years, and one of the things I have to do, obviously, is deal with contracts. I deal with contracts for the city. I read all the contracts, and that's basically what I would be doing as executive counsel. Executive council meets once every 2 weeks from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and basically they have a meeting, and that's what they vote on the contracts, and they vote on nominations. So a lot of the homework is done at home. You know, you read all your contracts, and you know, I have a pretty good, I have a basic understanding of construction and those types of contracts. So yeah, I'm ready on day one, and I've had to select at least two chiefs of police, fire chief, all department heads. I voted against one of the department heads that came in. Gatsis brought in a guy for waterworks, and when I found out was they had posted the job and you needed an engineering degree.
Oh.
He didn't have an engineering degree, but he was really popular and very well liked. And he was at the waterworks. He was our CFO. Yeah. And there was another guy who applied for the job who had the qualifications, and he was a CFO. I mean, he was an engineer. Mr. Crosdale did not have the qualifications for the job, and I voted no. Again, that was a 13-to-1 vote. Wasn't a popular vote to take. He's well known, well liked, has his own little community access show on sports for many, many years. But I don't care about the personalities or the politics. I care about the fact that if you're going to post a job, and as a matter of fact, I said to the alderman, I said, if you're going to vote for this, you're setting a precedent now for every other department head. Yes. Why don't we just repost it and take out the engineering? I'm always looking for solutions, or, you know, and as an attorney, that's what I do. I try to limit the amount of engagement people have that is going to be vitriolic, and try to get them to settle their cases. And I tried to do that as an alderman, and they said, no, we're going to let him have the job even though it wasn't posted. It was posted, but he didn't meet the description. I vote against it. And I'm not going to be one of these guys going to vote for my best friend because he's my best friend, but he doesn't qualify for the position. You know, it's just not how I do business.
Well, it's not the way government should run.
It's exactly right. It shouldn't be done that way. And as we can see under the federal, you see Comey comes out, and I remember watching the press conference, and he was laying out a case against Hillary Clinton. And I said, I want that guy to be my president. That's a guy that was, I mean, look at, he's laying it out. But there won't be an indictment. There's not enough there for criminal charges. And my heart dropped. Yeah. Because I was like, wait a minute. If that was anybody else, they would get crucified.
Yeah, I'd be in jail in 10 seconds.
The law is not being equally applied to just the everyday, average, regular guy. It's being applied differently, and that is exactly why we had a revolution. The British were treating us differently than everyone else. They were taxing us into the ground, and they were applying punishment differently to who you were, farmers versus you know, the guys that worked the farm to the guys that owned it. The landowners were getting treated differently. People had enough, and this country, it's about up to here, and I can sense it. And not only here, but look what happened in Europe with Brexit. Yes. The English said we're tired of it. Well, today in Brazil, they impeached their president, the woman. And you know why? Because of corruption and because of all the things that people are just tired of. And I think the country has literally had enough, and we'll see in November if it's ready for change.
Well, look at Venezuela's. I mean, they're bankrupt, and they're starving down there.
Well, we know, and I know from, you know, I have an MBA, I have a law degree. I've owned my own restaurant for 30 years. I started out when I was 25. I had Joe Kelly's on Elm Street for 23 and a half years, and I bought Theo's, and I've been there almost 6.5, going on 7. And what I know, and what people who have an understanding of our capitalism know, if you take away people's incentive to work, they're not going to work. But if you give them an incentive to be able to fulfill what they internally need. So I want to be a multimillionaire, and I want to live, you know what, I would like a house on Glen Lake. Well, I know that it's expensive to get a house on a lake, So what am I going to do to get that house? I'm going to work a lot harder. But there are people who don't care about living on a lake. They care about having a nice roof over their house, and they want a low price place somewhere else, and they're happy with only working, a 40-hour job, and they don't want to be president of the bank. That's what's great about our country. I want to be rich and I want to have a big house on a lake, or I want to have a house somewhere else, or I want to travel to Hawaii or whatever. I know in this country I can work hard and I can do it.
Absolutely.
We provide the opportunity. It is up to you to take that opportunity and use it and go forward. And people denigrate our schools in Manchester. We have people that go out of every one of those schools. Somebody goes to Harvard, somebody goes to Yale, someone goes to MIT, somebody goes to West Point. And you look at those people, and those people are not always the top, richest people in the city. There are people out there that value education, and they preach it to their children, or those children take it and they run with it themselves. You have no reason to fail in this country.
That's right.
When the playing field is fair and equal. I'm not saying that people are born obviously with different attributes. They say we're all born equal. I'm not Michael Jordan. I can't jump from the baseline and dunk a ball in. But you level the playing field, you give people opportunity, and you should be able to do well in this country.
Yeah,
if you're willing to work for it.
Oh, absolutely. And hard work's easy.
Yeah. And I've worked hard, worked very hard to get to where I'm, now I own a much bigger restaurant, and I'm wondering why. It's 30 years now in the restaurant business.
Wow.
It's been it's obviously a tough business, and it's a tough business now because there's a lot of people who are seriously afflicted on opioids, and we're not getting people banging the door down to work.
Now, your waitress,
Diane or Sharon?
She's been there forever.
Yeah, Sharon's been there over 40 years.
She's top notch. I mean, she works hard.
Diane's been there almost 15 years. She's been there since I started, and I'm very lucky. I do have very good employees, and I try very hard to pay them as much as I can possibly pay, as long as my bills are being paid. I'm working on now adding a function room. So hopefully I'll bring in more money so I can even pay more people better wages, because I'd really like to get them as well paid as I possibly can.
I go there, a couple times, and they're top notch.
I am one of the toughest guys to work for because you pay money for your food, and we expect to give you what you pay for, and we appreciate people who come in, and we have a lot of repeat business. Yeah. So I expect things to be done the way I want them done, and I'm lucky enough that my employees, they understand what I'm about, and they put out a very good product consistently.
Yes.
And again, we have some really good employees that have been with us for a long time, so I'm very fortunate. I can't do what I do without a strong background. My wife obviously takes care of a lot of things for me, able to pay all the bills, go down to the restaurant and work.
Well, you have two great kids.
I have two boys that are making my desire to work harder for this state.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm obviously concerned about them. I'm concerned about their education. I'm concerned about the way this country's going. I'm concerned about where we're going as a state, what we have to do to compete with other states. The train, they want, the Democrat that's running, he wants to build a $300 million train that goes from Nashua to Concord. What about the people who live in Goffstown that are going to pay for it and probably never use it? The people in Deerfield, Nottingham, Northwood, Loudon.
Lancaster.
My position is why don't you build it from Nashua to the White Mountains, and then let the people from all in our state go to the White Mountains, use our lakes, instead of building it from Concord to Boston and taking all of our people that are in Nashua and Manchester and bringing them all down to the restaurants and everything on Saturday night to Boston.
Yeah.
Why are we shipping our business out? People think, well, we're going to be bringing business in. Well, if you go above the Concord line, John, they're not doing well up there.
No, they're not.
They don't have businesses. They've had so if you're going to do it because it's an economic engine, then the economic engine should go to where the economics are needed. It should go far up into the state, and that way you can build platforms in each town where then maybe you can get people from Boston and that area to bring their companies here because the workers are here, the land is here, and et cetera. But we have a lot of issues. You work up there in the State House. You know what you've been under Maggie Hassan, vetoing everything you have, not being she's been out of the state I don't know how many days, not concerned about doing the job as a governor, more worried about being a U.S. Senator. we need to bring business in. We can talk about this all day long. Our energy prices are ridiculous.
Oh, it is.
What they did to the coal miners is ridiculous.
Yeah.
The energy costs to do business. I'll give you an example. I pay $2,500 a month for an electric bill.
Wow.
That sounds ridiculous.
That's a lot of sandwiches.
When I was 25, well, think of how many gyros I have to sell.
Yeah.
When I was 25, I think the company I despised the most as an owner from the age of 25 was PSNH. They could there's no oversight. They go to the PUC, we need a hike. Well, oil's down to $2 a gallon.
Yeah.
The barrel of oil is down to like $40 a barrel. Why is our prices going down? Well, you know why? They got us to change to LEDs. So everybody's got LEDs. Well, what does that mean? We produce less electricity, which means what? They're not making a higher profit.
Yeah.
So wait a minute, our revenues are down because, they're all on LEDs. Well, they're all turning off their lights. Well, they have all these energy efficient appliances.
Yes.
Well, so shouldn't we be saving money? Does your bill go down after you buy all these LEDs and you buy all these nice appliances? No, it keeps going up. So why? Because their revenues are going down. So they got to increase their revenues because we got to pay their CEO what? $2 million a year or whatever it is.
He's making good money.
Whatever. It's and it is what it is. But there's no competition.
Yes.
It's a monopoly, but they get to do what they want to us. And it's hard being in business. And when you got people want a $15 minimum wage for high school kids. That are taking out the garbage and washing dishes. Well, great. You want to pay $15 for a cheeseburger?
Yeah.
Let the market decide. I have never had an employee making minimum wage in my business because the market says I have to pay them more. So that's what we do.
Yeah.
And when the market is down, that usually means the economy's down. It means that people are looking for work because there's no job. So the market decides what you can pay.
Well, and you got great staff, help at your restaurant. But you aren't paying them. You aren't going to pay a minimum wage for them to stay.
Not even close.
Yeah, and they won't stay.
I got kids that are 18 years old making really good money, and they're happy. And you know what? They're okay with working overtime because they get time and a half. And
yes.
They like to make money, and they're happy to do it. Our waitresses obviously do really well. And my cooks, I try to pay them as much as I can, and I'd love to pay them more, and I will. When we get the function room open, I'll pay them more, because I believe in obviously you don't like a lot of turnover with your cooks. You certainly don't, and you don't want turnover with your waitresses, because people come because they like a certain waitress.
That's
I have one that's been there 43 years. Now I wasn't there 43 years. I used to eat there. When she was a kid, she was probably 17, 18, she was my waitress.
Really?
But she's now,
That's incredible.
She's been through 4 owners, I think. I think that place started when it was Louis, who had Happy House Pizza. Ray Blondo, if that's a name in Goffstown, was the one that I think originally owned all that land in that building and sold it to a guy named Louis. And then they sold it to the guys that took it over. That guy sold it to another guy. He didn't make it and took it over, and then he sold it to me. So. Yeah, 4 owners. She's been through them all.
Wow.
And she's there today.
Yeah.
She asked me today, though, she said, is there dairy in the chicken lemon rice soup? And I said, been here 43 years and you don't know whether there's milk or cream in there? It never came up. So there's always something new to learn, I guess. Our chicken lemon rice takes 2 days to make. And it's an amazing soup. I don't know if you ever tried it, but it's good. Well, everything's good there. I'm very proud of what we do.
No, anything.
Our tzatziki sauce is made fresh. We make our own dressings down there. Our Greek dressings are great. Our French fries I think we got top 2 in the state. We finished number 1 for breakfast out of the Spectrum, and we got top 2 for Greek restaurants from the Union Leader. So we're doing okay there. We got 3,500 people on Facebook as friends, and we try to send out coupons. And I don't know if you get the Spectrum in Goffstown, would you please open it up, because there's some beautiful, I think we sent it out to Goffstown, I'm not sure. I think it did go to Goffstown, but I try to send coupons out here every once in a while.
Yeah, they get them in the mail.
Yeah, if you get the Union Leader, we're in the Union Leader on Fridays and Saturdays, so there's coupons in there generally too. But when I run out here, it reminds people, oh yeah, let's go to Theo's.
Oh yeah.
So,
I know a lot of people that run
I love
over
to
there.
see people. It's great when I see them and they're like, yeah.
So you're there in the morning?
I'm there at 11.
Oh, 11.
Yeah,
so
I don't go in for breakfast.
So if somebody wants to come and see you.
I'm not a breakfast guy. When I first started my business, I was open 11 to 10, so I would work till 10 every night. So I wouldn't get to bed till 1:32, and I wasn't getting in at 7 or 8, and I still don't do that. But then I do work 11 to 2, and then I go in and work in the evenings, and
Yeah.
I'm always there Friday and Saturday night, and Sunday generally. And in the summer, it's a little quieter because everyone's at the beach in the mountains.
Yeah.
But after Labor Day, I'll be there quite a bit.
Yeah, no, that's good. Now, one thing I do like about you, Joe, because you're a lot like me, and people have said that, and I go, thank you, when they say, oh, you're
I
like Joe.
appreciate people saying that also.
Oh, that's it. I have a lot of Facebook friends, and when you ran for alderman, of course, you have a few that don't like you.
Yeah.
And they're saying, he's not going to win. And I'd write back, Joe Kelly is going to win, I'm telling you. He's going to win. Oh, John, you just like him. I said, well, I do like him, but he's going to win, and I'll tell you why. Because he's like John Burt. You say the way it should be said.
Yeah.
When I go campaigning, Joe, there's people, I'll say, thank you for letting me put my sign on your yard. And they say, oh, John, thank you. And I said, well, you don't need to thank me. No, thank you for saying what we wished we dared to say. And you're a lot like that.
Well, on President Road in Gold Street, if people are familiar coming to Manchester, they put a gate up on Gold Street to be able to go down to the new Walmart. President Road is the next street. Because they gated Gold Street, everybody's taking President. So there's a massive amount of emails going out about how people are really upset they want a gate on President Road. So I walked that street to talk to people and say, listen, you know, I want to do something to help you. And one woman said, well, you can put a sign on my lawn. I said, well, you know, I think you should wait because I'm not voting to gate your road. It's not a popular thing to say on that road, but I don't want to gate that road. I don't think there should be any gates. We live in a city, and there's a lot of people on the east side, on the west side, and along Caleb Road and Beach Street that use that road to get to, not only to get to Walmart, but to go over to Home Depot. There's a lot of businesses down there, and I told them, I said, you're not going to be happy because I don't agree with you that you should have a gate. I don't want Gold Street to have a gate. So I'm probably going to lose a pile of votes on that when it comes to a vote at some point. But I just do what's right, and when the people kick me out, then I'll just go home and I'll go do something else. It's going to wound my ego for a little while, but I'll get over it, and I'll run again. There'll be another office somewhere along the line if I want to continue a public service, but I got to do what I think is right.
Yes.
Because I got to go to bed and sleep in my own bed, and I got to look myself in the mirror, and I got to say, oh, gee, why did I vote that way? Was it because I was scared of somebody, or because, no, I just vote the way I think I should vote, which I got a different reality is I'm the alderman at large. I'm not the alderman of Ward 9 where it is, so that alderman in Ward 9 has to worry about her constituents. I got to worry like a mayor does about the whole city. So when I vote, it's based on the city, not a particular street or a particular ward.
Yeah.
It's based on what's good for the whole city. And when I vote as an executive councilor, obviously it's going to be what's important to my district, which is a big district, and then hopefully what's good for the whole state, which a lot of people don't seem to think that way, and that's the train issue. I think
I don't think the train's a good issue.
1/10 of the state would be using it, but 100% would be paying for it.
Yeah.
I know, and it's a romantic thing. You know, you talk to people, I went door to door and I had a 35-year-old, are you for the train? And I said, not if it's going to cost taxpayers in the state any money. You know, if the feds want to come in and put a train in and pay for it, that's one thing. Of course, that still costs us money. But it's a romantic thing. People, be on a train.
Yeah.
You know, when gas was $4 a gallon, nobody got out of their cars. I was still looking down, going to Boston, and there was one person in a car. Gas is $2 a gallon. We love our cars.
Yes.
We love our independence. Yeah. And it would take $6 a gallon maybe to build a train, but where's the train going to go? Is it going to go through our state? Is it going to be in our state? Is it going to drive around our state? Or is it going to be Concord to Manchester to Nashua to Lowell to Boston? Well, are you working along that corridor? Why didn't they build it straight down 93? Since that's where all the traffic is.
Exactly,
and that's where all the cars are blocked. And they had that big butte, they just redid that whole highway, and there was that middle lane that they could have said, why don't we open up that middle lane just for buses? No, we don't do things smart, and we don't do things with the long term. We do things about today. It's always about today. It's about what we're going to do today, and we don't worry about the long-term effects of our decisions.
And that's what we need to.
We always need to.
Yeah.
And Manchester's made a lot of mistakes in the last couple of years with some of its votes. We voted. I didn't vote. I wasn't on the board. But we had $110 million in money that came up because of an accounting gimmick. We switched from a January to January to a July fiscal year, and that opened up $110 million in bonding money.
Wow.
Bob Baines was the mayor, and he used that money to expand our 3 high schools. And I remember pounding my head against the wall. I was on my community access shows. I told them Bedford was going to build their own high school. We went from 2,500 kids at Bedford, we're down to 900 kids, and it's an expanded school, which could fit 3,000. Memorial, we're down to 1,500. We were at 2,500 at the time because Hooksett, Candia, Auburn, Deerfield, they've all left. They go to Pinkerton. Central, which was really high, we've lost all those sending towns. And they expanded these schools, and I mean, and that's money that we'll never get back, and we're going to pay for it with interest for 20 years at least.
And you got to heat those buildings.
Yeah, it's just really bad fiscal management.
Yeah.
And there's, and you know, you people out there, they know this. So you know what I liked? I came into Goffstown today, and the road was being tarred. Beautiful job.
Yep.
That's where our money's supposed to be going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good roads, good bridges, safety, good buildings that people can feel safe in, schools that actually have air conditioning in them, you know, so they can go to school till, you know, maybe July, or you can.
Well, I think they should go year round.
Well, at least till August, and then take the month of August off. But I agree. Are we being competitive with the rest of the world? I don't think so. We're getting beat to the punch by a lot of people.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. And now, what do you feel on the opioid, if I can say it? You know, because that is a Manchester issue, and it became a state issue because the state. I voted against every one of those bills because I feel the state should stay out of it and give it to the private sector. But that's what I feel. You know, because I think the private sector could look at this, and then because today it's heroin, but tomorrow it's going to be a different drug. And once you build a government agency, it never goes away. But a private sector, the problem's gone, so we don't need to fund this.
The rules and the laws on the opioid crisis in Manchester is extremely distressing to me. I thought because so many people were doing heroin that I decided to check to see how the sales of liquor have been. And I thought there would be a decrease in liquor because they found the new high. And liquor sales have gone up 23% over the same time the crisis began. So I'm thinking to myself, yeah, we've got some issues here. So, and our population hasn't grown that much. So we have issues, and I think a lot of it is because we don't have jobs. We don't have good paying jobs. Trump is right. 50% of the country is basically unemployed or underemployed or at low wages where they can't make a living and they're depressed. And in our city of Manchester, I've always believed that if you have a needle in your arm and you're overdosed, the police should come to every single one of those sites. They should arrest them on the spot, and they should put them in Valley Street Jail. Now you say, well, gee, that sounds harsh. If you cut them in 30 days of detox, you let them out. You know what I mean? Like, if you have an open beer, if you went outside and we had a beer together outside, we'd get a $100 fine.
Yep.
But you can have a needle in your arm, be passed out on the street, and not be arrested. But if you're driving with 3 drinks in you and you're pulled over and you have alcohol in your breath, they got to make you do a breathalyzer, and if you do below 0.008, you're arrested. But you could. We have. I mean, in the month of August, we've had 6 deaths. I think over 40 overdoses, suspected overdoses. But that's the lowest number we've had since February. The month before that, we had over 100 overdoses. Wow. Our fire department, that's all they do all day long. They just go, and I wish I would have brought the statistics that we have in Manchester, but our fire department went out on over 1,000 calls last year just for overdose issues. But I understand your issue. In Manchester, we have done some public-private partnerships. And because the private guys, if insurance would pay for it, there's an incentive for them to come in and really help these people. We have what's known as a safe station project that's going on in Manchester. We had over 110 people show up in the month of July, turning themselves in basically for help. And it's because there were some major drug busts, and the major drug bust made it so there wasn't anything on the street. So they start kibbying out because they're not getting their drugs, and they go, we need help. So they go to the police. They feel comfortable going to fire station. Everybody loves firemen.
Yeah.
Everybody loves firemen. Firemen are great, and I support our firemen very, very strongly in Manchester. But these people have been searching for help, and you just hope that it's almost over. But what's going to be the next crisis? We had a spice crisis 2 years ago in Manchester where Gatsis literally shut down 3 businesses without a warrant. And I had to go to court. I literally had to go to court. The guy, they went through his whole place. They searched it. We got it on video. They had an illegal search without a warrant. I went to court, and they closed him down. because the guy didn't put a gotcha sign on his property. They closed him down. I had to go to court with an injunction and get the guy back open. They didn't find anything illegal or illicit.
Yeah. No, we had that, there was a bill up to the State House.
Now, Maggie Hassan did it the right way. She went out and I'll give her credit on this. She actually made what she has as an executive order to take the stuff off the shelves and get it off the shelves. She was able to do that.
Yeah.
But there was just that started the heroin crisis because they're like, well, we can't get spice anymore. What are we going to get now?
Well, that's it. And what's that new drug down in Florida?
They got gorilla drugs and elephant drugs.
Well, I guess it makes you, really crazy.
Oh,
like
yeah.
you jump into.
Well, you go into Manchester and you see, and I don't want to say
it's bad.
I don't want to scare people away from coming to our fine city, but we have our issues, obviously. Panhandling is a problem in Manchester.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, I don't know how Goffstown's doing it, but you guys have, I don't see people walking around like a bunch of zombies in Goffstown. So
Goffstown.
You got a good community out here.
Yeah, we do pretty good.
We have some issues in Manchester because all our hospitals, the big major hospitals are in Manchester. We have a bus system. We have people living under bridges. We have a really hard time in Manchester. So as far as funding that, that's your job. That's the state. I'll tell you what I did like was, everybody talks about the courts getting the money for that.
Yes.
But Dave Dion from county had the program where you get busted for drugs, you're in detox, and you're going to be in counseling for 90 days. That program seems to me to be more effective because they can't go out and get it. They're in the building and they get counsel. A lot of it's psychological, people don't realize. Yeah. But I was told that it's easier to get off, by a nurse, I was told it's easier to get off heroin than it is to get off alcohol. So.
Really?
Yeah.
And the state
so
pushes the alcohol.
I can tell you, I've had to deal with it because I've had employees with the problem, and we work hard to try to get them off, and we give the support that we can. But we've had some serious issues. We've needles. We've had fine needles out in parking lots in the city, and it's a tough problem.
Now, when it comes to being the executive counselor, when you see a nominee for like a judge, are you going to question that judge to say, look, what do you feel on the Second Amendment, and what do you feel about this, this, and this? Because
I'm going to go a step further than that. I'm going to pull every decision they have written that I can get my hands on in the Superior Court. I mean, if they're going to go obviously for the Supreme Court judge, if they're a lawyer and they have worked in the courts, I'm going to look at some of the cases they've brought in. I'm going to look at some of the background of the people they've actually represented. I'm going to make phone calls to the people who they've represented to ask what they thought about the work ethic. To me, it's more about temperament and work ethic when you hire a judge. It's one of the hardest jobs you'll ever get. I don't know why anybody would want to be a judge, especially in the district courts. If you ever go in there on a Monday and then a Friday, because you got the criminals being arraigned on Mondays, and then you have the landlord-tenant cases on Wednesday, and then you have the people who don't pay their bills going in the small claims courts on. I just go in there, and they're so packed you can't even imagine how packed it is. And then I think it's a work ethic you have to go for the person with a work ethic like nobody you've ever seen. You have to go for a person who can literally sit there and not want to reach out and just smack those people in the courtrooms.
Yeah, a few of them, I bet you they do.
Well, go through a divorce and go through a 3 or 4 year divorce when there's children involved and the people hate each other and try to deal with all that stuff. I've seen both sides because I've done a lot of different types of law and I've watched the judges work. I have submitted motions that, how can a judge seriously read all the stuff that gets put in front of them on a regular basis and try to make good decisions? I have a great deal of respect for judges. I have a great deal of respect for people who want to take that job, but I have a much higher respect for the person who has to go in front of that judge, meaning you and me and our regular people who have never been in the court system before. I think the Supreme Court's done a better job of trying to work with people who go pro se and do a good job there, but I will vet them because once they're in, they never come out, John.
That's right.
And you've got to make sure you're getting quality, top quality human beings.
And you'll know the rugs to look under.
Well, I'm lucky. I belong to the New Hampshire Association for Justice, and we're a body of a couple hundred lawyers in the state. I have them to call and talk to privately. What do you think of this person? And I won't just be, if somebody says something bad about somebody, that genuinely reflects to me that there's a motive. I'll try to find the people that are, I'm not going to take one person's opinion on anybody.
Yeah.
If somebody called you and said, how's Joe Levasseur? Well, geez, he's a great guy. Well, there's a lot of people out there who have an opinion about me from other things, like people I've worked against on criminal cases or police officers that I didn't vote for their contract. Everybody that's saying something bad may have an agenda.
Yep, absolutely.
Generally, I think I'm a pretty reasonably nice guy, but you know, or they just don't like you because you're a Republican, or they don't like you because you got a loud mouth, or because you say it the way it is. A lot of people don't like that stuff.
Yeah.
So you got to really kind of try to filter all that stuff and try to find the person. And I don't like man, woman. I don't care who you are. I just want quality, because it's a lifetime position. So quality is going to be very important. And I never, ever have I ever believed I'm the smartest guy in the room. I ask questions from everybody.
Yeah.
I talk to people, and I get my information before I ever make a decision. And I take a lot of pride in being able to. I love to talk to people and ask questions. What do you think about this guy? What do you think about that guy? Why should I vote for this guy? Why should I vote for that guy? What does he bring to the table? When we move department heads up,
Yes.
I want to know what those employees are they going to be looking to knock the guy down, or are they going to look to work hard for the person because they have a lot of respect for that person? Are they leaders, or are they afraid to make decisions? Are you afraid to call people out? Are you afraid to discipline? Are you afraid to work when it's contract time? Are you so union embedded that you were 30 years as a union guy, now you're management? Can you take that hat off and change your hat? Those are questions that you have to ask. So generally, they'll tell you, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. I can be a manager in 1 minute. Okay.
Well, you got to see between that.
You got to read between the lines and work hard.
And being a business owner and an employer, you're going to be ready on the first day.
I had luck when I was 25. I was, people would come in and ask who the owner was, or they asked for my father, and I learned to know that this is a guy I don't want to talk to. So I'd say, oh, my father's in Florida for the month, and I'm just running the place for him. So I learned at a young age how you can be taken advantage of pretty quickly when they think you're a 25, 26-year-old kid. It's a kid now, but and they take advantage of you because they think you're dumb. And you learn the ropes, you learn the scams, you learn the calls. And the Police Relief Association, they get 90% of the money that you think's going to the police department. It's an actual game that they are getting. They take 90% of the money. So if you give them $100, they keep 90 and they send $10 to the Police Relief Association. Once they get your name, they never stop calling you. I've had to literally, there's been some wars on the phone with these people, but they're just they start a business doing that.
Yes.
Those are things that you learn. You get the yellow page bill in the mail, and it says you have to read it carefully. This is an offer only. It's not really yellow pages. It's a scam.
Yep.
Yeah. It's you got to be careful.
Yeah.
You got to be careful what's out there.
And you're probably going to see a lot of that as executive counselor.
Yeah, I work with a lot of seniors. I do a lot of work, pro bono work for seniors in my city that, a lot of scams out there. You got to be really careful.
Absolutely,
So.
yeah. Now, we got about a minute and a half left, and I was just curious if you want to tell the voters why you should.
That went really quick.
And yeah, it did go quick. September 13th is the primary, and it's very important that they come out and vote.
Sure is, and I've been very lucky in Goffstown. I've had an amazing amount of good rapport and a great response from the good people of this town. I do just love this place. I love going, and I probably shouldn't say where all the places I go to eat and go over to the trestle. And I have a beer once in a while, especially in the fall. I love it out here in the fall. The only thing I don't like is all the signs because it messes up your beautiful foliage, but I'm guilty of putting up the signs too. So if you want to reach me, please feel free to call me at 622-7575. Stop into Theo's if you want to have a sit down and a chat about anything. You can join me on Facebook at joekellylevasseur.com. I think it's just Joe Kelly Levasseur on Facebook.
I think it is.
And then it's joekelly2016.com is my website, and you can email me at jrwaa2@aol.com. I look forward to seeing you all. I'm going to be out here a lot, campaigning, going door to door. You see me on my moped, driving around, putting stuff in your doors and talking to people and putting up signs and just enjoying the great fall. Hopefully I get through the primary and then I can enjoy the month of September and October. That's beautiful. This is the best time of the year to be in our state.
Oh, it is.
This is my favorite month is September and October.
Yeah,
warm days and cool nights.
I love campaigning.
And I bring my boys out for the Pumpkin Festival.
Yes.
Is it?
The
race down the river. The water's cold. I don't want to jump in there, but they always do it.
Yeah.
So
I heard every now and then one will tip over.
Good luck to your committee and all the people that are running in your city. Anybody who puts their name on the ballot, I have a great deal of respect for.
Yes.
And I know you're running running again, so
Yep.
good luck to you.
Yeah,
And I
well,
hope-
luckily I don't have a primary.
Oh, you don't have a primary? Good for you.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, that must be nice.
It is. This is the first time, and
Must
it's
be
like,
nice.
yahoo.
I'm
you know,
kind of worried about that. I don't know.
I'm
A lot of people
excited.
are giving up on government. We need more people to get involved, so.
Yeah. Well, I think Trump's going to help bring the people out.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are just really tired of the corruption.
It is.
And it's in our face corruption. It's
Yeah.
like they don't even care. They're just shoving it down our throat.
Well, they're not even hiding it
They're
now.
not hiding it. The media is insane.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like this in my life. I knew it was biased, but I didn't realize to the extent that it
Yes.
is biased.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, and that's one thing I like about you, Joe, is that you're going to call it the way it is.
I've been doing a TV show for 16 years, and I do a live show on Wednesday nights, and you can catch it live if you go to mpts.com and watch me live, and I have a great time with it.
Oh, yeah.
I do. I have fun with it, and you've been over to Manchester to do some shows.
I have. Yeah. As a matter of fact,
By the way, congratulations on losing all your weight. You look
Yes.
fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
You feel good?
I feel like $1 million.
And your wife is happy because she's going to see you for many more years.
They're saying she's stuck with me for at least another 10.
Good job, buddy.
And,
Very good job. Thank you
yeah.
very much for having me on your show. I appreciate being out here with the good folks of
Yes.
Goffstown and, of course, you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, Joe.
Thank
I
you very
appreciate
much.
it. And
Thank you.
remember, September 13th, get out there and vote. It's extremely important. You know, the primaries is as important, if not really more important, than November. But November is extremely important too. And until next time, I'll see you next week. Bye now.
Bye.